All right, Anthony Rodriguez here with Jeff King, DC Comics, writer of Convergence. I checked out an article you did with Entertainment Weekly. You talked about this comic being all about family. What did you mean by that for this comic?
You know, my experience, I think when I gave that interview, I was working with the Earth 2 characters. They were just arriving on the planet where Brainiac has been collecting Doom timelines and Doom cities from over 75 years of the DCU. They were battling with Telos, who is Brainiac's keeper of cities, and things weren't going too well for them, but they were starting to get a sense of how big their problem was and how many other people were there and who they were. And it was a little bit like being invited to a family reunion of a monster extended family you have no idea existed. And I think that's why I was thinking about family at the time. But then also, we're all brothers, we're all sisters, we're all parents, we're all children. So we all kind of have that experience. And in a way, all of my characters have that kind of relationship.
In Convergence, the villain Brainiac, what differentiates him for all the comic book villains? What makes him special, and what should all the readers expect from Brainiac?
You know, Brainiac has been a villain of the DC Universe for 75 years. He goes back to the Golden Age. He's one of the original DC villains. We're going to spin the Brainiac story a little bit here in Convergence. And next week in number 8, we've got a revelation about what his role is, not only in the story, but also in the DC Universe. What I loved about Brainiac was his consistent search for knowledge and for control and for power that comes through knowledge. But Brainiac is a machine. He's a god machine. That Grant Morrison's term, and I really like that. Dick Grayson is a human being. He doesn't have that machine knowledge. So in a way, they're both halves of one person. And that's why he was such a great adversary, because he's cold and implacable. He sees us through glass. To him, we're not people. We're just things that he can analyze and draw conclusions from.
You mentioned God Machine being Brainiac. Obviously, it's nothing better than being a God Machine than to kill guys like Batman and Superman. How are we going to see them? Because I read that we're going to see them get killed. So obviously that's going to make readers kind of uncomfortable seeing their favorite guys come to an end.
You know, sometimes it happens in combat. Sometimes it's a noble sacrifice. Thomas Wayne of Earth 2 makes that sacrifice, no spoilers, in one of the early issues. What I really love was the opportunity to have all these characters in collision with each other, and people who in some DC storylines are heroes becoming villains because it's what they believe they need to do to save their city or save their people. And often that's where we find ourselves. We find ourselves doing things that we wouldn't otherwise do to another human being or to another person, but because we believe it's what we need to do to protect our own. And so, in a way, Convergence is bringing all these heroes and cities together to discover there's a bigger world and a bigger community.
And with your work at DC Comics, what are you most proud of that differentiates Convergence from all your other work? What do you think the fans are going to love the most out of Convergence? You mentioned number 8 coming out.
You know, I feel like anytime you take on a big story like this, you're having to deliver something to fans and be measured against all of the crises. I was so honored to be standing on the shoulders of giants like Marv Wolfman, who'd written the original Crisis on Infinite Earths 30 years ago, Dan Jurgens, Scott Lobdell, Scott Snyder, Brian Azzarello, heroes of mine at DC. My experience up till now, this is my first comics experience, was working in TV. So I had never worked in comics. It was a beautiful learning experience. I was a fan growing up. So this is giving me the opportunity to live a dream. It's a dream that a lot of people have, and I'm getting to do it, which is incredibly exciting and satisfying. But my immediate next project is a TV series for Amazon that'll be coming out later this year called Hand of God. And it's something that we can all look forward to somewhere after Labor Day.